Here we go. We'll start our regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes for the regular council meeting, May 14th, 2014. Is there any changes? Any corrections? Haven't done your homework? Yes, Council.
Just under motion 36514, because I did a verbal report, but I also handed in a written report.
And Councillor Umter?
I believe it's considered a verbal report unless you give your report the week before.
So when it, yeah, exactly. So although you handed one in, which is greatly appreciated, if not before the week, on the Wednesday before, then it's just verbal. Any other changes? Seeing none, motion to approve. I believe Councillor Umter was quicker, although I was looking, I was guilty to the right. All those in favor? None opposed. Business arising. Do we have any business arising from? We have the new business coming up. And on to finance.
We have 5.1.
We have the 5.1.
Yeah, 5.1 airport fuel.
Oh, the new business here for the airport fuel.
Yeah, 5.1 airport.
Thank you
fuel.
so much.
Yeah,
I was looking right at it too.
Public hearings? None?
So, okay, I could give a background to the airport fuel, and I think Councillor Currier will be able to add a little bit more to it. We met yesterday at the intermunicipal negotiating committee meeting and discussed the essence of the airport and the airport fuel. And we had two quotes from Jeff and one from CanWest. And the proposal was to go with CanWest in terms of fuel for the airport. And the recommended actions are below. One, asking council to approve $55,000 for its portion of the $110,000 in total cost, partnering with the MD of Big Lakes. And then the second recommendation is that administration be directed to send a letter to the MD of Big Lakes requesting for a proposal from them with respect to their intention to maintain and operate the town of High Prairie Airport.
Any discussion?
First, I'd like to make the motion so we can discuss the, I'd like to go with the recommended action that council approve $55,000 for its portion in cost sharing with the MD of Big Lakes for a fuel system from CanWest Corporate Air Charters Limited to supply and sell aviation fuel at the town of High Prairie Airport, and that council direct administration to send a letter to the MD of Big Lakes requesting a proposal from MD of Big Lakes regarding its intention to maintain and operate the town of High Prairie Airport.
All those in favor?
No discussion.
Discussion? My apologies.
No problem.
Still somewhat of a rookie. Councillor Umter.
Okay, so I noticed that there were two proposals put forward and one was chosen. Can I ask what the differences were between the two proposals and who made the decision on which one to choose?
Mr. Chair.
If I can, we were, the two proposals, one was from Max Fuels in town, the other one was from CanWest. I can't remember off the top of my head what the difference in pricing was. I think it was $10,000 approximately. We have been trying and trying and trying for a very long time to get fuel out of the airport. Max Fuels seem to be reluctant. They've given us different proposals, different pricing. They would either us take care of the fuel or the card readers and everything else. CanWest is actually chomping on the bit to get out there. And they are Canada-wide, I do believe, if I remember correctly from Mr. Grantley's presentation. They could also bring in, because of their affiliations with people working at the hospital, and the crew rotates. If we have fuel out there, make things a lot easier. It actually is very important to have fuel at that airport. Numerous times, oil companies have come into town, but they can't bring everybody needed, simply because they've got to watch their fuel. And usually the guys that get left behind are the ones with the money in the pocket and that can make the decisions. So there's lost opportunities by people not being able to come and see what our great area has to offer. Not only that, but with the new hospital, surgeons could be able to come in. If there was only 2 surgeries that day, they could at least come here, land here, do their operations, maybe carry on to McClendon, land there. So this is long overdue. This is something that needs to get done and addressed very quickly. Mr. Grantley made an amazing presentation yesterday. We are very central for people coming out of Edmonton, Calgary, the oil companies. They could come here, see what our area has to offer, carry on to the Carmen Creek, Fort Mac, Grand Prairie, in those areas. And there's so many different spin-offs too as well. If we get that fuel up there. We got aviation clubs that can start. You can have flying lessons for those that are interested. It's a great opportunity for the town and area.
Councillor Empter.
Yeah. My question was more geared towards the process of choosing, because my hope would be that if there's 2 companies bidding and one's local and one's not, that we try to go with the local to support local businesses in our community. And point after further explanation, I don't believe there's any actual operating rooms in the new hospital, so I don't see operating docs coming in to help us with that. There is? Then that's good. That's why I said believe, because I don't know everything. Trust me. No, that's good. Thank you. Thanks. And so that's good that way. Actually, that would be helpful. Yeah, so my point was just that if there's 2 bids and one's local, my preference is to do local, as long as they're comparable and in the same area.
Right.
I don't know the specifics. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Intermunicipal Negotiating Committee actually belabored on that point in terms of consideration for a local. But when you do the math, I think over a 10-year period comparison in terms of cost, CanWest was about $110,000 and Maxwell was $138,000. And they also looked at the what word do I use in terms of the viability of business that CanWest brings to the table. So, and the MD is going to go with CanWest, and we are partnering with MD. So it almost looks like a done deal if one of our partners is already bought into the idea, considering all the elements, the pros and the cons, comparing the two companies.
Thank you. Councillor Carrier.
As part of our discussions yesterday as well, to agree with Mr. Tamaco there, we did talk about it quite at length about trying to go local, but it just doesn't seem like he's all that interested, and he was just, I can do it, but I don't really want to do it. There's no expertise in the field.
That's fine. I just the opportunity. That's all.
Any further discussion? That being said, put forward the question. All those in favor? Unanimous. And next one, item 2, the 50th Avenue Resource Road. Motion. Councillor Empter.
Make the motion as recommended.
And the recommendation is that council direct administration to provide a letter for the mayor, deputy mayor's signature, and the municipal district of Big Lakes Reeves signature supporting a 1/3 cost sharing between the MD of Big Lakes, Town of High Prairie, and Alberta Transportation to repave 50th Avenue Resource Road. Any discussion, any questions? Councillor Danaka.
This issue with the resource road is becoming more and more a concern, and if this is one way that we can approach trying to get that completed, I'm in favor of that.
Councillor Carrier.
Again, from the meeting yesterday, they would also really highly recommend that we try to get the Honorable Pearl Kelly-Hasten on board with this. Resource road funding it has, there is none left. If we can perhaps be the squeaky wheel and have Ms. Kelly-Hasten running around at the ledge pushing this forward for us, maybe we can actually get this done. I believe I was kind of confused at the meeting yesterday. We had sent a letter before and we were told there was no funding. Now we're being told to send a letter again in hopes of funding. So I see, it seems to me we're just rehashing this, but they said with this new letter and getting Pearl Kelly-Hasten on our side, we might actually get something done here.
I think now the difference is that we actually have a consortium of organizations that are working together on this and are willing to put that one third out. So with the MD and the town, I think that we have an opportunity here to influence the province to kick in that final third. So I know that our MLA has been working hard for us, and she has discussed with them in the past. And also we had an opportunity when I was there to speak to the Minister of Transportation as well and Municipal Affairs. So, so they're aware of it, and now that they see this coming forward, I think that'll enhance our opportunity and our chances a lot better. Anything else you'd like to add? Oh, Councillor Danaka.
Does this fall under the Building Canada Fund? Do you know, Kelly?
It could, but this federal funding for the Building Canada Fund, and it's taking a long while. Most people don't even know how it works.
Is it possible to, I know Councillor Carrier has asked a couple of times if we could send an invite to Pearl to come to our council meeting. Could we possibly send an invite? Could she come and explain the Building Canada Fund?
That's
I don't know.
versus provincial.
Everybody's grappling with how it works, and at administrative level, I'm sure every administration is trying to find out the modalities and the method by which these funds can be assessed, and I'm sure everybody's working hard to do that. As soon as we get some sensible understanding of how the system works, I'm sure we'll let council know as well.
Any further discussion? Having said, call the question. All those in favor? Carried. And 5.3, the Northern Alberta Development Council, NADC. Motion. Councillor Empter.
That council approves $7,500 be taken from GL 4004923404040 account NADC Medical Bursary Fund for the joint bursary partnership with the Municipal District of Big Lakes and the Northern Alberta Development Council.
Discussion. Councillor Danaka.
The GL account, Northern Alberta Development Council Medical Bursary Fund, is that limiting us to bursaries in the medical field?
No, it's an interesting title, but that's what we have on the balance sheet.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we've been contributing to that fund, and as you can see on the request for decision, that's about $23,000, and it's on the balance sheet. So,
Councillor Empter.
So just to clarify, we have cash in the account and we're just allocating. Okay, thanks.
Councillor Danaka.
I don't know if they still do this now, but when I was part of the Buchanan Social Club, we had partnered with NADC, and we had two bursaries. We put in 500, NADC put in 500, and it was specific to Buchanan Lumber employees' children who were going to university. It was quite successful. We did get a lot of applications, you know, and we did select the steering committee to review them outside of Buchanan's, and like I said, I'm not sure if they still do it now, but it was very successful partnering with them.
Councillor Carrier.
It's unfortunate Councillor Rose isn't here. She's the one that brought it forward.
Yes.
For us to discuss. The MD was extremely excited by this, and I was extremely excited by it as well. If this goes through, not only do we have a chance to send some of our local people to get educated, but we also are going to get them back into the community to carry on their training here as part of the bursary. So it's very exciting, actually.
It is a great opportunity. Councillor Emter.
To touch on what Councillor Carey had brought forward, the qualifications for the bursary and the requirements. As it stands, it's just someone from Northern Alberta, or someone from Northern Alberta coming back to Northern Alberta. Would we tie in that it had to be coming back to the High Prairie?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Danaka.
And I believe this worked the same way as the NAGC partnership with the Buchanan Social Club, that if you got the bursary, but you didn't come back to it, you would have to pay that back. So it's not necessarily a guarantee that they would come back here, because if they don't, they just have to pay back the money that they got as part of the bursary.
Any further discussion? Been around a couple of times. Call the question. All those in favor? And last but not least, the Intermunicipal Negotiating Committee. Motion?
I make motion that Council direct administration to invite the Northern Lakes College and Grand Prairie Regional College presidents to a future regular meeting of Council.
Discussion. Councillor Carrier?
I believe, this was from our meeting yesterday. I believe the request was to send a few members of council to Northern Lakes College or to Grand Prairie. I'm just kind of wondering why it's inviting them to our...
Yeah. So, Councillor Curry, subsequent to the meeting that we had yesterday and the motion that was passed, I immediately called the Northern Lakes College, and I called the Grand Prairie Regional College. And I got responses yesterday, and I got confirmations today. It was very clear that they were not interested in board members meeting board, and that it will preferably be the president and the administration talking about issues of that nature. So that was the kind of discussion that I had with Grand Prairie Regional College. 5 minutes after, I got another call from the Northern Lakes College from the president, and she stated very clearly that the issue of campus has already been discussed, and that it was part of their template for strategic planning, and that they had conveyed that to some of our members of council, and that it wasn't necessary to send council members to the board, but rather it would be more beneficial if she came down here, met with administration, or be invited to speak to council as a whole. And so from then on, administration thought it would be prudent to make the recommendation that rather than trying to send intermunicipal negotiating board members to a board meeting that takes a whole lot of steps to climb, that in future we could invite the presidents to come and talk about the issues of campus with the whole of council. Well, make very clear by the Grand Prairie Regional College that this area is within the jurisdiction of the Northern Lakes College. And so from then on, I realized that we could be walking into some political dangers in terms of dealing with two bodies that are already talking and that we should not be seen to be trying to bypass the parameters that have been set. And so by inviting them and openly talking to them at the public forum, that might make things a little much better. So that's the background to why we put this recommendation forward, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Councillor Naka and then Councillor Hunter.
No, I'm...
You're good now? Councillor Hunter. Any further discussion? That being said, call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Okay.